What's going on, freight brokers, carriers, dispatchers, trucking company owners, fleet owners, independent guys, all that good stuff? Wanted to say hello, see how you guys were doing today. Got some viewers going on. Hold on, I'm just double checking, putting something on the other screen here. But for anyone who doesn't know, my name is Steve and I'm your favorite freight broker. I make a daily talk show that you're watching right now where I talk about what it's like to be a freight broker. I talk about the industry. I talk about tips and tricks. I talk about everything in the freight industry, and it's an open Q&A, so you can type in your comments and I'll read them and I'll answer you and I'll go through everything. But yeah, my name is Steve, like I already said, and here's my little intro. All right. Well, I don't really have much. I mean, I've been slacking on putting well, no, it's better now, right? I thought I lowered the volume to make it better. If it's loud, let me know and I'll adjust it. It's hard to do because when I test it seems fine. But if it's too loud, let me know, or turn down the volume on your thing. But at any rate, so my name is Steve. I am your favorite freight broker. If you see it on Facebook, you'll see the name, your favorite freight broker. Click that link and you can like my page. I put this out to a bunch of other pages, and I know a couple of you guys are going to be sharing it. So go ahead and put it all out there. But like my page, I make videos daily. I'm trying to do a lot of new media and stuff like that, new stuff for the site. So hopefully I'll get most of those things in place relatively soon. But without a big goal on what I'm going to talk about today, because I don't really have anything. I was busy moving freight. I mean, I moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 loads from 9 o'clock to when I shut off the phones, roughly a half hour ago. So we were pretty busy, or I was pretty busy this morning. I changed the background image. As you can see, this is not my office. You guys have seen my office in the earlier videos when I did that whole home office setup video. So you guys have seen those videos. So hopefully, if you didn't, go back and find it. It's on YouTube as well. So if you go to youtube.com/freightbrokerlive, you can see it, and it links off of all the stuff I use. I should update it now that I'm doing all the podcasts, because I got different tripods and mics and a little switcher for everything to make it a little bit better, because I want people to be able to hear me and understand what I'm saying. And the reason why I'm wearing a collared shirt, I'm still wearing gym shorts, but the reason I'm wearing a collared shirt is my wife told me I had to. She didn't like that I was wearing a sweatshirt in yesterday's video, because apparently she watches them too, and I didn't know that. But at any rate, so today, I don't know, like I guess because I'm cutting weight and all that stuff, so I've just been in like a slump with moving freight. So like today when I started this morning, I was like, again, I have that big lofty goal, which is every day when I look at the revenue, I need to make a lot of money a week to get to that goal. That having $300,000 or whatever in by March or April, that's $10,000 a week essentially to get up to 260,000. And I'm not doing that kind of freight, not every day, not every week. I think, like I said, I've done, $10,000 a couple of times in my career just by myself. When I had an office and people working for me and all that, then yeah, I did a lot more revenue. But when it's just me doing it, I'm content with anything from 1,000 to whatever goes above that. So, but today was a good day. Like I said, I booked 9 loads. I know when I end the video, I got to go to the bank, but hopefully if I have time, I will book some more freight before I have to go to the bank, because that would be sweet and just make more money. But yeah, I had, knock on wood, no cancellations today, no arguments with carriers, no arguments with shippers, no real cheap freight. I told a customer for one load, I'm like, listen, I need an extra $25 on it. I'm taking a dive on a lot of these loads. He gave me an extra 50, like stuff is going well today. So hopefully the video is is coming off pretty good too, and you guys are able to hear it and able to see it and all that stuff. So again, if you've never seen my videos, just go ahead and you ask questions, ask about being a broker, ask about doing anything like that, and I'll do it. Josh says he has to make at least $2,000 a week to keep up with the bills and expenses. I'm an agent, so I don't really have any bills or expenses anymore. I work out of my house now, so it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier. I don't have the overhead, so I just got my cars and my motorcycles and stuff like that. I don't have any business overhead per se anymore, without the office and without payroll and stuff. So it's a little bit easier. And my wife also works too. So we have that. She doesn't make much. She's a teacher, but it is what it is. But yeah. So I guess I got to move this over so it doesn't appear like I'm just staring at the screen the whole time, because that's annoying to both me and to you guys, I'm sure. It's gonna be a pain in the butt to do. But yeah, so today was a pretty mellow day. I mean, it wasn't too crazy. It wasn't too crazy. I switched the background image because I'm a work from home freight agent. I work from home now. I don't have the office anymore like I did last month when I started making the videos in August, or so 2 months ago, or almost 2 months ago. I had the office and I was just getting ready to phase out of it and downsize, because I didn't need everything. I didn't need the employees, to have to micromanage them and do all that stuff. And when I started working from home, I realized my productivity went way up. I started booking more freight. I started doing a lot better. I started making more money. And then I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I can either keep paying these people, or I can just keep making more, money and doing the work myself, because it wasn't really working in the office anyway with the staff that I had. So kind of downsized and settled everything up. But let's read some of these comments and see if we got any questions going on. Victor said, hello, what's up, Victor? He's a daily person here. Haseen, I don't know how you say your name. I am good, buddy. How are you? Josh said, what's up, buddy? What's up, Josh? Don said, present audio is good. What's up, Don? James said, howdy. What's up, James? Nate said, sound really cleared up. RIP people with headphones. I'm guessing that means that I'm loud, but hopefully, I when I played back the video yesterday, when I uploaded it, I noticed it was cracking a little bit and it was a little loud, but I don't care. As long as it's not driving you guys nuts. Josh said he has to make at least $2,000 a week to keep up with the bills and expenses. It all depends where you live too. Like we live in Florida, so the bills and expenses they're not astronomical. I don't have a huge amount of bills. I don't have a huge amount of expenses anymore because it's relatively cheap to live here. I think we have right around $4,000 in fixed prices. You know what I mean? If I was making $1,000 a week, then yeah, I'd be screwed. Because that wouldn't cover any of the extra crap that I do. So the goal is every week to make as much money as I can as a broker, and through these ventures and all that stuff. And that's why I push the Patron thing so hard, because it's important to to make sure that I'm not, what's the right word, losing money. So if I'm taking the time to make the video and buying mics and new cameras and stuff to try to make everything a lot smoother and new software, I want to be able to do it. And speaking of Patron, check out this video I made. Commercial and tell you about something that I'm sure you've never heard me say before. Our gift card giveaway. So on the 10th of every month, we go through our list of patrons. We randomize the list. We randomize it 5 times live on the air. And then we choose the top 3. And then we give you either first place gets a $100 gift card. Second place gets a $75 gift card. Third place gets a $50 gift card. It's going to happen every month on the 10th of every month. Sign up below. It's www.patron.com, Freight Broker Live. See you guys back in the show. Technology, right? That's pretty clever. I thought so. I was really impressed with myself when I made that video. But as you could tell, I didn't spend a lot of time on it. But yeah, if you guys, and on a serious note, if you're interested in winning a gift card, it helps me create the brand and do everything I want to do. But I'm also giving away 3 gift cards, a $100 gift card, a $50 gift card, and a $75 gift card live on the 10th of every month. I'll give the gift cards away. I think right now we got 13 or 16 patrons. I don't remember. On Friday too, I'm going to run the list with all the names and the thank yous for the patrons that did sign up. I know I'm good. You know, I said I'm going to do a shout out, but I just need to, I want to have it look good. You know, you guys are supporting this venture and I really appreciate it, which is why I, you know, and that's why I'm doing it. But, and for anyone who didn't see that link, because I didn't realize the thing was cutting it out, you can, here is the link down here. Just patron.com, Freight Broker Live. And it's also down, it's on the ticker. I forgot about that. So if you follow the ticker, you could see that too. But at any rate, back to freight talk. So I haven't done much, man. I did some sales this morning because it was a little slow when I first started. So I started emailing. I sent out a couple of quotes and I worked reverse because I haven't been running any quotes through the system that we use. I haven't been working and trying to get quotes. So I worked in reverse. I went back like 7 days and started pulling and started just quoting out, you know, emails and stuff like that from the lead source that I have. And that's kind of one of those things. And it's funny because I wish I could screen share, and I'm not going to try right now because it'll be too complicated. But I was looking this morning for a customer's email address. And like I said, the way I do it is typically I try to get their name and then the company, and then I find the website, and then I just use, you know, through typing it into Google, first name, last name, company, you know, domain name. And I just keep trying all different formats until I find the customer's email. A lot of times it's really easy just to be like, you know, if it's Scott at, you know, Trinity Logistics, or if you know the guy's name Scott and it's at Trinity Logistics, you know, you type in, you know, Scott space at, and then the domain name, and it will pull up the domain names that, you know, the format at least, so you could find it. That's how I'm able to do it, because then I normally do it. But what I found a lot of the times, it happens every day when I'm doing quotes. Like if I do more than 5 quotes, I find it. When you search for a customer's name in Google or whatever, what ends up happening is it takes that domain name and then you get a bunch of results, and oftentimes they are the correct results. But where that email is funny. Like, so today I came up on a list of every business that's registered with the city of Riverside, California. It had like 20,000 different businesses and it didn't, the ironic part is it didn't even have emails. It just had business names, addresses, and contact names or contact numbers. But it came up with like 20,000, and I saved that to my desktop. I've got so many of those. Any of those lists that I ever get, I just save them because, you know, I've always thought about making like a shipper database, but a real one and a free one where I just put all these lists in there and have them, you know, be a free resource for people that need it, you know? And yeah, but I just thought that was funny because that's one easy way to find freight, I guess, or find, you know, emails and stuff for customers. See some of these other questions. Don said, what's going on here? Not sure if that's what you mean. Josh said his wife is a stay-at-home mom, but she wants me to bring her into the business. And that's it. See, I don't know. Like my wife has no interest in logistics at all. She watches these and listens to the podcast and all that stuff. She has no interest in logistics. She doesn't, and it's not, you know, she just doesn't get it. And the way I talk in these videos is literally how I talk in real life. So I understand sometimes it's hard to follow because I'll be like, oh, freight this, and then I'll go off on a tangent about something that happened 5 years ago. And that's how I am in real life too. So when I'm having a conversation, my head gets an idea and I run with that idea. And a lot of times when I'm talking about something I'm passionate, I get animated and I talk and I move my hands around. That's why I always sit like this to try to minimize my hand movements. But she gets so mad because she can't follow. You know, I'm telling her, you know, last night about something that, you know, that's very positive that's been going on and you know, my future in the industry and stuff like that. But I'm running off in the ideas and stuff that I had for this venture, and everything was like she was so confused. She had no idea what was going on. She's just like, make sure you don't speak before you get it in paper. You know, like don't give away all my knowledge and my experience and all that stuff before I get it. written down and a deal in place, which is true. But I guess but she has no interest. But in the same way, I don't have an interest in teaching high school English. That's her job. I don't know anything about that stuff, nor would I ever even attempt. Can you imagine me teaching high school kids? I'd be yelling at them all day long. You guys don't know me. You know me from this, but I got a little bit of a temper. It's funny. But all right. So LB said, hey, what's up, buddy? Patricia Coleman said, good afternoon. What's the difference between a freight broker and freight agent? All right, I got you. So a freight broker, and this is going to seem really silly. A freight broker is someone who actually owns the bomb. That is someone or someone that works for a freight broker. As a direct employee, they're still considered freight brokers, or depending on what their title is, but they work for a freight broker. Imagine, that's weird. This just popped open on my screen. A freight broker is someone that has the authority, has the responsibility directly to pay the carrier. A freight agent is someone who may not have the resources, or in my case, just doesn't want to deal with all the back office stuff. So I became a freight agent instead. So what that means is that I give up a percentage of my business to work under the umbrella of someone else. So I'm representing that company as an independent contractor. Think insurance sales. Like Brittany, I know you watch these videos sometimes. There's people like Brittany that are insurance agents. So they're not I don't know where I was going. They sell insurance policies. They're not the insurance company. It's kind of the same thing. I'm a freight broker, so I sell the services, or I'm a freight agent, but I'm a freight broker. I sell the services of the brokerage that I'm leased onto. And I have the ability, if I really wanted to, which I wouldn't, but I have the ability to take my business and everything I built and go move it somewhere else. And that happens. People in the industry, they'll build up a network. So say you work for, Mike's little brokerage, and you build up a business and you're an agent, and you get busy, you get some big accounts, and you hire a couple other people working for you. And then you just get too big and you realize, okay, you're still at a 50-50 split with this guy because you were a freight agent. You don't have a benefit, you want a better percentage because now he's making the same amount as you are, and you're the one doing all the work. You can move your business over depending on what your contract is. So you move, essentially, like for me, it's Capacity Logistics is my agency. So that company is contracted to Trinity. And if I really wanted to, I could uproot that company. Granted, there's things about stipulations about keeping customers and stuff like that. But I could move Capacity and go become an agent for, Joe Blow's brokerage. If they gave me a higher percentage, I would have that ability to do it. And so that's why it's a little bit unique. A freight broker can't necessarily do the same thing. They could sell that book of business, or if I ever got out of the business, that's what I would end up doing. Is I'd try to sell my book. Or sell my customer essentially and say, listen, I can document I made this much off of the guy. You pay me a certain amount. Here's my book of business, or do something like that just to exit if I was going to do that. But that's the main difference now. And going to some of these other questions here, or not other questions, right along the same point. James said, does your company hold taxes or do you pay your own taxes? So I am a corporation. It's not like Steve is an agent of, or it's my company is an agent of this company. So they make their direct payments to my corporation, and then I pay myself out through payroll. And the reason I do that is because if you don't, you're screwed. When you end up making a lot of money, it's more advantageous for me just to let accountants deal with it and draw a W-2 paycheck and pay taxes, because at the end of the year, you're just going to end up owing a bunch of taxes. And you're either going to say, okay, well, no, I took a huge loss, because that's what I did the first year that I was independent, didn't really know what I was doing. And I'm not an accountant by any means. I don't know anything about accounting. I hire it out. I don't know anything about it. But what I tried in the beginning is I booked a bunch of business, or I had, my clientele and stuff or I don't even know. I made a lot of money, but I didn't pay the quarterly self-employment tax on it. So when I did my taxes, it ended up, I owed like $20,000 in taxes, which sucks. So the way to combat that is be a corporation, pay taxes to yourself. So you end up paying a little bit more because you have to deal with all the employer taxes. To me, it's worth it, because then I don't have a headache. It's easy. Like I go get a car. I don't have to go through any of those issues with credit, or well, credit doesn't matter for me. But like if I went to a place and like when I bought my car, it was zero down because I had my pay stubs. They could verify how much money I make by the bank statements, but I had the pay stubs that showed what I made, so it was a little bit easier. If that makes sense, that may be. I'm not an accountant. There's other people on here that are accountants that could explain the benefits of being W-2 versus 1099, and you just W-2 yourself. You know what I mean? So you're not going to have workers' comp or any of that crap, but it takes that tax burden away from being a freight agent, which to me is a huge deal. Having a room or, a dedicated room is tax write-offs and all that stuff too. But I talk to a taxes person for that. See what some of these other questions are. Bailey said, LOL, good point. Oh, here you go. Bailey asked, how do you deal with shippers offering cheap freight? And then Nate commented to that, how do shippers know they are offering cheap freight? Shippers know they're offering cheap freight because they use the same rating tools that we use as brokers and that you guys should use as carriers. You should, that's just the way it is there. Hold on. Yeah, I didn't see that Aristole, but maybe, yeah. Because I was gonna give you a shout out right now, but I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it'll show up later. But because I think I only got $150 there. You know who you are, Nate. But at any rate, shippers know that it's cheap freight. They use the same shit. They use the same tools. They use that rate view. A lot of the customers, especially if they're shipping in bulk, they pull all that information down and they pull all the data down and oh God, what am I talking about? So they pull all the data down and then, analyze their rates. That's how my old customer did. Once a month, they pulled all the lane rate data off of that and then used the calculation to figure out what they wanted to charge for the lane. And then, and came up with these rates, and they always went off the low end of the data average. So what that ends up doing is makes it cheap as shit. And so they know they have cheap freight, but it works. And I'm able to cover the loads, like I said, 9 loads today isn't bad. I'm able to cover the loads and I'm able to make money. And today was a decent day. Because again, I'm content. I'm not one of these guys that's going out and quoting $2,000 and making a $500 profit on it. I don't do that very much. It's just not the type of business. Not to say it's not honorable or anything like that. That's fine. It's just not the type of business that I run. I'm a volume guy. So like, I think between the 9 loads, I'm probably at like $600 or $700 in profit margin, which is all right. But you go at it and you do the amount of revenue, that's probably only 8% for profit, or maybe 7%. I don't even know. But and the reason I do that is because I cover a lot more loads. I'm able to pay the carriers more than what the other brokers that are working on the same shit are able to pay, just because I'm not being greedy and saying, oh, I got to make $200 or I can't move this load. I just don't do it that way. But yeah, but shippers do know. And I don't care. If I can move the load, I'll move the load. I'm not cheap freight, and it doesn't matter to me. Because if I get a carrier that moves a load, who's to say it's cheap? You know what I mean? There are some lanes that I get, like, there was one that came through earlier. It was like $450 and 900 miles, which is okay. But the full truckload rate for that lane is $350 per mile. So I know that I'm not going to get it covered because they could take a full truckload and make 6 times the amount of money that I'm paying for a third of a truck. And that's the customer's rate. So that's not even me adding $50 onto it. That's the way I do it. I do things a little bit different than some other people when I'm brokering freight. To me, I kind of like to make $50 as my minimum number, and I don't have a max number. If I can squeeze 50, like I booked loads for $2,500 and made $50 on it because I'm not greedy. I don't give a shit. I'm not trying to make 10%. I'm not trying to make 20%. I don't care. If I make $50 and I'm booking 10 loads a day at $50 a day, or $50 a load, that's $500 in commission. I'm completely fine with that with my profit split. That's a good day. That's me making plenty of money. I'm not hurt. You know what I mean? But I'll try to upsell it if I can, but I can't always do it. So when I look at my total revenue, like my revenue numbers, this is a funny thing. When I look at my revenue numbers, I'm like top 60 or 70 for agents with this company out of 200 or plus. When I look at my profit numbers, I'm down to like the number 90 or close to 90 and 100 for my margin, because my margin is much lower than some of these the other agents, because I'm booking a really high volume of freight. So I'm booking a lot of freight, and there's a lot of freight spend there. I'm booking with this one customer, we're well over $100,000 a month just for one customer, and I average 8% profit on that customer. But again, that's not sustainable to keep doing it, and that's why I use the filler. So if I have a dead day where I'm not moving shit, I'm quoting, and that's why I said I treat this just like I have a regular day job, except I can't show you the camera because it's up there. But like I'm watching Hulu, that old show that's on Glades. I was watching that. I watched that Motorcycle Club one that's out. I watched that on the other one. But let's answer some of these other questions. I watch TV or listen to news or listen to Jason Ellis show while I'm working, and I find that makes me a lot more productive. And that if I don't have the TV straight in front of me, then I'm not just focused on it, like, because it's off to the side. And to be honest, if I'm sitting like this for a long time, it's going to make my neck hurt. So it's just hearing it, and I found what helps me work much better. Like I have our guest room. I used to use that as a home office before I got the actual office. And it was just, it was a smaller room. It was, we took all the beds out and just made it into an office, but it was too small. I didn't feel good at it. So right now I kicked all the kids out of the playroom and made the playroom my office, which is huge. And I love it. And I have plenty of room, and my voice carries on. And when the kids are home and stuff, if any of you guys have talked to me when my kids are here, you can't hear anything because they're nuts. They're running around the house, but my wife doesn't get home with them until 5:30 at night. So, and normally my day is done unless I'm having a meeting or something like that. And then I kind of, will tell my wife, like, be quiet, or my kids, be quiet. That happened yesterday. I was on a conversation and I walked to the kid, and he's sitting there playing video games, yelling at his video game with headphones on. And I walk over to him and I'm like, Riley. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I gave him a look. I didn't make any noises or anything, but I was like, I'm on the phone. And he was like, oh, you got really quiet all of a sudden. I should probably screenshot the face I just made there, because I've never seen my face when I do that, but that was pretty funny. Next question. So I answered that. Josh said he's in California, Central Coast, 7th most expensive county in the nation. Been thinking about moving east, though. Well, don't move to Leesburg or Virginia, which is Loudoun County, because that's the number 1 most expensive county in the world. And it shows. You walk around, everyone's rich. It's a really nice, safe place, safe area. But we moved there because my family's there. It's right next to DC. So if you're in the government sector, it's really great. But yeah, it was too damn expensive. Teachers there make stupid money. Well, we were looking at houses. Like a house that we get down here would be like $200,000 for a really nice big house. Up there, it's like $1 million home. It's insane. It's insane. But I never understood that, why people pay more to live somewhere. I mean, I can understand if it's a bad place or something, but that much of a price difference to live, that close to a city where you can't even do anything, you can't even drive unless you leave for work an hour and a half earlier. But I don't know. Some of these other questions. I like California, though. I lived in Northern California, and I really liked it. But sorry, one second, folks. But yeah, so I keep checking to see if this big $50 one comes through. I don't see it, buddy. But anyway, Bailey, I answered your question. James, I answered yours. Low G Lopez said, how do you get the freight? I'm a broker, but haven't had no luck moving loads. Well, first thing you got to do is find freight. It's kind of a catch-22, because when you become a broker, you can't, or while you're going through the process of becoming a broker, you can kind of pre-qualify customers and stuff like that, but you can't, like if you have a customer that says, hey, let's go, let's ship, you can't do anything with them because you're not set up yet. And then when you become a broker, and this is what happens to a lot of people, they go out, they hear people like me talk about how much money you actually make as a broker, and they're like, oh shit, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to do this. Doesn't even cost that much, $3,000. I'm a broker. All right, let's do it. They go and do it, and then they don't have the fundamental, it's the fundamental, wow, what the hell? Gumption. I love that word, so I keep saying it. They don't have the gumption to go out there and just get it. and just and get it. You know, so you say, how do you move the freight? Call, phone calls, knock on doors. Any place that has a loading dock is shipping shit in and out. Go knock on the door. Even if they say, oh no, get off my property, who cares? You're knocking on doors, get business cards made, you know, wear a polo shirt with your company logo on it, or the agent, or whoever you work for. Same goes for carrier sales. It's the same thing. I was talking to a kid yesterday. I watched his video, and I say kid, not to be disrespectful. He's 23 years old. He's got a trucking company. He owns a couple of trucks already. I think that came from his dad and all that stuff. But he's going out and setting up a brokerage. He's got a little system built where he's got his brother going out and brother making all the calls and setting appointments, the traditional sales route where you have appointment setters that are scheduling the appointments. And then, you know, the big account rep goes out and actually seals the deal. That's everybody does it that way. I'm not a big fan of that. And I'll talk about that in the free course and all that stuff. But yeah, you just need to get out there, phone calls, make calls, and beat them up. You know, beat up your phone calls, beat up the emails, and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Because what will end up happening is you'll get a customer, and you'll get one customer who will give you a load, and then the customer that you emailed 3 months before and never heard back from will call you and say, hey, listen, I need a quote on this. And because freight doesn't move every day, so sometimes you'll contact someone that you think may have potential, and they're just not shipping as much as you thought. And you're sitting there going, okay, well, what do I do that now? How do I have to wait for them still? Or what do you do? But I've had customers call me. I send them an email. They'll call me 5 months later and say, hey, you sent me an email a long time ago. I'd love to, work with you now that we have some freight. Or you have busy seasons, unhappy seasons. I don't know. That's not a word, but you just got to low G. You got to get on. What's the opposite of low G? That's what you got to be. You got to be out there and be boisterous G, Lopez. So just walk around and go get accounts, build up a presence for yourself. Make sure you have a website that's functional. Mike, if you're watching, I'm going to finish yours. I promise. I was sick on Saturday, which and I'm busy right now, man. I'm also, like I said, I'm competing in Ireland in October. So less than, a month, actually. We leave on the 23rd or the 22nd of October to go to Ireland for 5 days for the World Powerlifting Competition. So I'm trying to stockpile all the money and all that stuff and move as much freight as we can. Our in-laws are coming down to watch the boys for the week. And, all that shit's expensive. So, and I'm not a pro sponsored athlete, so I pay for all that crap myself. I sponsor myself, but it's fun. All right, Nate, I guess you're answering low G there. Haseen said, do you know any companies who hire new freight agents with no experience? No, I don't. Well, it depends where you were. I mean, some like the big guys will. As long as you make an impression and you get the job, offer and all that, they'll hire you, but not as an agent. But pretty much, there's not very many companies. I got a company that said he'll take on people that I train or that I recommend. But one, I know him. He knows me. We've worked together for a long time. He said he'd take some people on. I referred one guy that's a follower of this group over to him. But again, it's going to be case by case, I wouldn't go work for him. He's asking me if I would switch over as an agent. No, because I'm happy with what I have here. And just don't give up. Whatever you do, just don't give up. However you say your name, bud, Haseen or whatever, you just have to get out there and get some experience somehow. Go work for someone. Get a job working for someone and learn the business. Take some minimum wage bullshit job. And just learn the business. Someone messaged me earlier or on the YouTube video. They said, hey, I just got a job offer from TQL. What do you think? You think I should take the job? I have no real experience. I drove a truck. I should, what should I do? And I said, you should take the job with TQL because then build off of that education. And then you're golden. They're going to teach you how to be a broker. If you don't have the experience, why not get paid to learn? You know what I mean? It seems silly, but. This guy said the $50 thing. Haven't seen it yet. Maybe I have. I'll look later, and then if I did, I'll talk back on it. Courtney said, "What are?" Which I don't know what that means because I think you forgot. Oh, maybe this. You said, "What advice would you give a new freight broker about finding shippers, cold calling, etc.?" Well, I just answered that already, and I know that's what most people need. Is they need the help finding the customers, and that's like asking a proprietary ketchup maker what are his ingredients. I'll talk about the different sales tactics, which I've done. Beat up the cold calls. Google is your friend. knock on doors, go be present, make sure you're presentable. You're not going to do yourself any service if you go looking like a homeless person to try to get business, but get out there and do all that, make calls, and I schedule my day. So by 8 o'clock when I start my day, like 8:07 roughly is when I get home from dropping off my kid. I know I already have my schedule. I mean, I start working earlier, but I know from when I get back, I have it all mapped out for the entire course of the day, what direction I'm going with stuff. And then a lot of times it carries over and it kind of screws stuff up in terms of sales and what time I'm going to eat lunch. I mean, that could be because of the athlete segment of me and monitoring what I eat and all that. But I eat at certain times of the day. I work at certain times, or I do sales at certain times. I know at around 10 o'clock, that's when I'm going to start getting busy with my customer stuff, because that's when he sends out his information. And, so scheduling is very important. Don't get complacent saying, oh, I work from home, or don't get complacent saying, okay, I got an account. They said I'm getting 4 or 5 loads a week. You book your first load, you make $400 commission on it. And then you say, okay, well, I made $400. I don't need to work for the rest of the day. That mindset will make you hate this industry. And so many people do it. The best thing you do is you made $400, pretend you didn't make that 400 and pretend like the day is starting over and you got to make more money. And that was, I tell you what, that's taken me years to get into that mindset. And it sounds silly, but it has, because I used to be an agent. I'd make $250 to take home commission a day and be like, I'm done. I'd sit and watch YouTube, or I'd go to the gym, or I do this, or I do that. And I wouldn't actually do my job. You know what I mean? Which was make money, book freight, make as much as I can. And then I don't know what it is. I think recently something in my head changed, and I'm like, listen, instead of being complacent with $1,200 a week, I'm going to start being complacent when I get $5,000 a week. Just make some stupid, outrageous number. It's not even that stupid, but make a high number. And then if you don't get the goal, you're mad that you didn't get it. And so the next week you're going to do it again. And I found that helps me personally have the drive to keep going out and saying, okay. And that's why I've had pretty good weeks, especially since I dropped the overhead of the office, paying $2,700 a month for the office, and another $1,800 a week in payroll for people that weren't even really doing anything. I just didn't want to let them go because I'm too nice, apparently. If you ask my wife, that's what she says. But yeah, let's answer some of these other questions. But those are the advice: scheduling and persistence. Don't give up. Yeah, if any of you guys that are thinking about doing it and do not have some sort of income coming in already, meaning you don't have a spouse that's working, you haven't taken a concrete look at your finances, because what I think you should do is you shouldn't become a freight broker unless you have 6 months of sustainable income, meaning you have 6 months just to keep you afloat, not including whatever it's going to cost to keep your company operating. That's my belief, because I've had times where it just doesn't go my way and there's no business moving. There's nothing. 2 weeks ago, granted, I was busy doing other stuff. I made $43. And I don't know when it was, a couple of weeks ago. I made my commission, my take home was $43. The week before, it was like $2,900. You know what I mean? So that's the difference on how loads can be, it's just the market. And that was really from only 2 or 3 slow days. And then I was gone for 2 days. So I essentially missed a week and didn't really get anything done, or I had deliveries that were going farther away. So nothing was finalized that week, because, I average booking, a lot of loads every day, but that week it was just really slow. So how much margin do you make in a week, if you don't mind asking? I make a number from $43 to, the 5,000. It doesn't, because you're not going to make as much as me, or I'm not going to make as much as you. So talking about a specific number, if you do it and you work hard and you have a decent account that you get that's giving you a couple of loads a week, you can easily make $1,000 a week or more, easily, without much effort. I mean, today I made like $600, I think, is my take home commission in one day, just for moving freight. Yesterday I did another like $400. Tomorrow I know it's the peak of the week for me, as I could tell what days I'm going to make more. So tomorrow I'm probably going to do the same, if not more tomorrow. And then Friday it'll calm down, because that's when I'm focusing on the weekend and all the, especially this Friday, because I'm not going to be eating. I'm probably not making a video Friday, Saturday, or Sunday this week, because Friday I'm done. I'm not drinking any water. I'm not eating anything, because I'm still, when I weighed myself this morning, I was 282, and I have to get to 270 essentially, even though I compete at 275. Because I have to get to my morning wake up on Saturday, I have to weigh in at 270 because I have to drive for 3 hours to the competition. So that drive is something. But yeah. Nate said, what's the difference between TL, LTL, and partial? All right. Well, LTL and partial to me as a freight broker are interchangeable because I don't deal with traditional LTL. So TL stands for truckload, clearly. So that's a full truckload, whether it's dry van, flatbed, reefer, whatever. That means they're paying for the entire truck. Whether or not it even takes up the entire truck, that's what they're paying for. LTL is the actual definition for LTL is less than truckload, but that's 1 to 6 skids. And max weight is like, maybe 10,000 pounds. Anything over 10,000, most carriers consider that to be a partial, while a volume partial, and they charge a much higher rate for it, or a lower rate depending on what the lane is. And then a partial is a partial truckload, so it's only taking up a certain segment of the truck, and that's my specialty. That's what I do the most now. 90% of my loads are partials. And it's tricky, not for me. It's more tricky for the brokers and stuff like that, but a little bit tricky for that. But I'm going to get a drink of water. And when I'm going to get a drink of water, I'm going to play this video. Check this out. What's up, guys? It's Steve, your favorite freight broker. Wanted to just make this quick commercial and tell you about something that I'm sure you've never heard me say before. Our gift card giveaway. So on the 10th of every month, we go through our list of patrons. We randomize the list. We randomize it 5 times live on the air, and then we choose the top 3, and then we give you either first place gets a $100 gift card, second place gets a $75 gift card, third place gets a $50 gift card. It's going to happen every month on the 10th of every month. Sign up below. It's www.patron.com, Freight Broker Live. See you guys back in the show. All right. Well, that to me on my screen looked like it was lagging a little bit, so hopefully it wasn't lagging too bad for you guys. I'm reading some of the comments now. That's funny. Nate, so I answered your question, Nate. This guy said, where do you start as a freight agent? I'm a dispatcher at the moment. I think you're the guy that was saying you're dispatching the 6 trucks. I don't know where you are, but yeah, that's I've already explained that. Like, I'm not, if you guys can't tell, I'm not a super huge fan of repeating myself. So I don't like doing it that much. I don't like repeating myself about stuff, especially not in the same video. If you want to become a freight broker, you do all the filings and all that. I probably will make a video later on and say, hey, this is how you go and do your filings, or I may just reactivate my old website, Truck Authority Now, and just do filings that way, because it is just another revenue stream. It was pretty much automated anyway, so it was good. But yeah, I don't know. Here, I'll check, because there's questions about whether or not people are signed up for that patron thing. So I'll look real quick and see who signed up for it while I'm doing the video, and that way I could do my shout outs now to say my thank yous to people who have become patrons, because it's very beneficial to me, like I said, for all the reasons. If you go to patron.com /Freight Broker Live, you will be able to see everything. So let me see my patrons here, my little patrons. It's going slow because I'm also if you guys don't know, like, actually using running a software to stream, it actually takes up a lot of CPU space and all that stuff too. So I've got 12. So Vincent, you're good, bud. You're in here. So our patrons, I'll say who you are. You got Amanda, Dan Cook, Donacella, Jamie, Javier, Joe, Joshua. Thanks, buddy. Mary Stewart, Nate. Thank you, bud. Victor and Vincent, you guys are all signed up as patrons, and I really, really appreciate it. Super helpful to me. It's kind of silly, but it lets me know that people are actually watching and are receptive to what I'm doing, as silly as that is, and I like it. But yeah, you're all set. I didn't do the thank yous, I guess, but those are the 12. So those 12 now have, what is it, a 25% chance of winning a gift card. Now that's pretty intense, right? That's a good percentage. The first like I said, when I do the gift card giveaway, it's going to be every single month. So if you're continue your patronage, you'll be able to be eligible for that drawing every month. If you cancel by the 1st, or you cancel on the 1st or after, then you'll just be taken out, because the list I'll draw off of is the list that's active on the 1st when it sends me the information. But yeah, so if you haven't already, sign up for Patreon. It shows me that you like my videos, helps me producing cool stuff and all that. All right, let's go back to the question. So Vincent, I answered your email. Bailey said truckload and less than truckload. Yeah, I think you're right. He was more asking what think about it with your step or something like that, Nate. Truckload is what occupies traditionally it occupies the full space of the truck, or they're paying to have it occupy the full space of the truck, because that happens a lot too, especially with dry vans, where they'll book. I had a guy that tried to book one of my loads the other day, or he actually did book it and then he canceled on me because they sealed his truck. And I said, why are you, I understand why you're doing it, but you shouldn't be booking a load until after you go and pick up and they say, okay, here you go. And you leave the place and your truck's not sealed. At that point, look for another partial that's going along the route. Because if otherwise pop the seal off and say, listen, you didn't pay for a full truck. You're not getting exclusive use for the truck. But to me as a broker and me as a shipper, when I did ship, if I was shipping an LTL pallet or a full truckload, and even if it was 5 skids, if I'm moving it and paying full truckload rate, I'm sealing that goddamn truck. I'm marking it with special letters. And if it gets to the delivery and it's broken off in the seal and they don't have something that says cops doing it, there's a rate reduction, 100%. And there should always be, they're paying for a full truck. So, I didn't block that carrier or anything, because he was nice enough to call me. The second he got loaded, he's like, they sealed my truck. I'm sorry. And I was like, well, you shouldn't have booked the load if it was a full truckload. He's like, well, I thought I would be able to do it. And I was like, okay, so it is what it is. He was being honest, so whatever. But yeah, then said that. Eric said, what's up? Eric said, again, how you doing? I'm doing good, buddy. Rishi wow. I put that up here. Rishi Shukala said, what do you do when you call the shipper? And what do you do when you send an intro email? Well, so when I call a shipper, I say, hey, listen, my name's Steve. I am your favorite freight broker, and I'd love to move your freight. No, I don't. I use the information I provide. So like if I'm calling a transportation manager, if I'm calling a logistics manager, I'm calling someone, I'm like, listen, hey, well, especially if I have the name, typically I won't even bother calling. I don't call and say, hey, can I speak to your transportation manager? It's a sales thing. I try to get their name at least, because then when you call, you're like, hey, yeah, can I talk to Scott, please? And if you say it really quick like that, they think you're just someone that's already talked to Scott, and they don't ask who it is. And that happens a lot. If you're like, hi, yes, could I, flipping through your little notebook, hi, could I talk to Scott, please? And they're like, yeah, can I ask who's calling? And you're like, well, my name is Steve with Trinity, and I'd love to be able to talk to him about his freight. No, you already did too much. You already got shut down. Like normally what I do is, I'm like, hey, can I speak to Tom? They'll be like, yeah, Tom, this is Tom. And I'll be like, hey, it's Steve with, Trinity. Just wanted to reach out to you real quick, talk about freight, talk about the types of freight you're moving, how we could be of assistance to you. And I keep it super bland, you're dealing with truckers. You know what I mean? You're dealing with logistics managers. You're not dealing with a F&I CEO or some computer tech guy. You're dealing with someone that's job is to deal with truckers all day long. So you could talk like how you normally would. And I do. And if they don't like it, I've had other people where, I'm talking to them, I accidentally drop an F-bomb, and it was probably Sandy's relative or something from a couple of weeks ago, if you remember her. But, I've had one customer out of all the customers that I've ever swore in front of. I had one swear while in conversation with me. And then I went, like, yeah, that's fucking crazy. And she's like, oh, well, the profanity is unnecessary. And she swore first. She said, like, son of a bitch or something. Maybe not the same deal, but be presentable in your conversations too. It's very important. Like my brother also, he works from home. He does like IT sales and stuff. When I work I wear gym clothes, and I'm wearing the collared shirt just because, like I said, my wife told me to for the videos. She thinks it looks better. But normally I just wear gym clothes. I don't even put socks on. Roll out of bed, boom, I'm a broker. There was a time that I dressed up just like I was actually going to work and would sit and work from home. And then I realized it wasn't comfortable. My goal is to be comfortable. You know what I mean? That's the goal, but it's just to be comfortable. Oh, yeah, you got jokes, buddy. But oh, jeez, I don't even have anything to say. But there's nothing wrong with Trinity at all. They're probably the best company I've ever been an agent for. But let's see what other questions we have. But that's how I do sales. Intro emails are the same. I don't, it's a short email. You want me to read it to you? This is what I say. Because I got them. They're template on my computer. Like I said, under my signature, I save my emails. So like my food signature. So this is a little bit longer, but if I go after a customer, because I have targeted niches or whatever that I go after. So food is one. So like here's my email, and I'm going to say it quick because I don't really care. I'm like, so I say morning, and then I have a placeholder, so I put the name in there. Because again, I don't send emails unless I know who I'm talking to. And you could find that out by Google. And if the company doesn't list it, then I don't go after them. But I say, hey, I wanted to reach out and quickly introduce our company and how we can alleviate some of the distribution challenges a growing company could face. So, and I got to walk that back a little bit. So I target small companies that have recently been like, they release a press release saying they're going to be tested out in Walmart or Target. Those are the type of companies I go after, and you'll see why in the next comments. But just to give you a little information. So I say I'm an independent agency owner with blah, blah, blah. I have over 15 years experience handling the distribution challenges for new and established food and beverage manufacturers, having coordinated and worked with all the major big box retailers, Walmart, Target, grocery, and then I just say grocery distribution, regional grocery distribution channels, as well as many of the, I don't like doing this. Whatever. So, and then I say I'm well versed in the must deliver by date. So basically then I'm saying, okay, all the challenges that they know that they're going to face, I'm outlaying them and saying, hey, listen, I know all about these things and I know what kind of challenges you're going to have. This sentence here, and this is the same email I've used for 15 years. This email or this sentence right here is what gets me the most clients, because I say I'm well versed in must deliver by dates, chargebacks, on-time ratios, consolidation, and cost savings in warehousing. And the reason I say that is because it's in the big box space of distributing to these facilities. It's such a big deal, but it's a big deal, and it's what all the people that are just getting into these retailers are all worried about. And then I say blah blah blah. I'm censoring out some stuff too, because like I said, I do mention who I'm with, but I don't like to. I like to keep this a different brand entirely. So I say through my partnership with blah blah, or you could say with Joe Blow's Brokerage, you as a client will be able to leverage our buying power and drastically reduce your shipping costs. That's another like play on words that I try to do a lot. And then I do another sentence where I say we handle all modes of transportation from full truckload to just one pallet. We have contracts in place for extremely competitive intermodal warehousing, domestic and expedited freight, as well as contracts in hand for drayage from virtually every point in the United States. I don't even know. I don't do any drayage, so I have no idea, but that's a sales thing. And then I say I would love the chance to talk more about what we could do and how I can show you the freight spend savings that I bring to the table. When is a good time to talk? And it's the same thing as when you're doing an initial sales pitch on the phone, always end your pitch with a question. You know what I mean? And I know that email was probably really hard to follow for you guys, but tough, because I don't feel like reading. But that's how I do that one. And then I do like a previous customer one. It's much shorter. I didn't realize when I opened it up how long that one was. But a previous shipper is I say, hey, I'm an independent agency owner with blah, 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 and wanted to reach out. I saw another office previously worked with your company, and I wanted to reach out and see how I could help you with your shipping needs. Having worked in the industry for 15 years in virtually every position available. And I think that's important for me to say, because then when they talk to me, they realize I've got experience behind the wheel of a truck. I've got experience as a dispatcher. I've got experience as a carrier, as a fleet owner. I've got experience on the shipper side, being a logistics manager for a big shipper. I have experience. And then I always use this too, because it fits my model and what type of business I run. I say I define myself as a volume broker, meaning I put shipping volume before margin. I'm looking to establish long-term relationships that have built some great customer. Wait. Oh, I am looking to establish long-term shipping relationships and have built some great customer relationships as I provide. Damn, there's errors in this one. I should have checked this email before. There's spelling errors, and I didn't even catch it. Built some great customer relationships as I provide a one-stop shop for all my clients. I'm able to, and again, the same sentence. I am able to show a significant freight spend savings for all clients while maintaining a service level a step above most other logistics firms. I would love the chance to talk with you more in regards to your shipping needs. Again, and there's that end. When is a good time to talk? It's like killing my eyes because this thing is so small because of all the other stuff that's going on my computer and the software. So it's hard to see it. I apologize for that. But those are basically how I do my quick little pitches. I don't do long sales pitches. When I talk to people on the phone, I try to keep it blunt. I don't often read from things on the phone, and I think about all different stuff. Sorry, guys, water. All that reading just made me thirsty. But yeah, that's that. Tim, your comment is funny. I wish you'd say something else. Nate said, what are some of the questions you have to ask to a good shipper profile, dock height? I don't ask, someone else brought this up before. I don't ask dock height. I'm not a flatbed or a step deck or anything like that. When I'm moving stuff, I pre-qualify customers like crazy. So I'll find a customer, I'll find an email, I'll find a phone number. I do not call right away. I find all the information. I find what kind of product they are, what they're shipping. If I can figure out what kind of volume they're shipping based on where it's available. If it's available at Walmart's and it says available at Walmart's everywhere, that means they're distributing to 52 Walmart's or 42 Walmart distribution centers around the United States. If they're available on Amazon, and especially if they're Prime, then that means they're going to be all over the place in Amazon and all the different DCs in Amazon. And so those are different things to realize. This kid, I'm not even going to repeat it. Yeah, look at him with his. Oh God, I could go hard on you, buddy, but I'm not going to. Yeah. Oh God, that's funny. But yeah, those are the normally I know all that stuff. Credit, again, I'm an agent, so I don't have to deal with the credit stuff. So as long as credit approves them, credit's the one that handles all the days to pay. Hold times, I don't know what you mean by that. Loading equipment, yeah, you always ask, like, you have a loading dock, you got forklifts. I don't ask for dock height because if they got a loading dock and they're dock high, then they're fine. I ask more about being dock high for carriers than I do for shippers. Because typically, they know they got to load a truck. You know what I mean? So if they ask for, they'll normally say, like, we need a way to load it or we need something like that. And then I'll understand that they don't have a loading dock. But Jeff said, I have no idea. I'm not going into that because and they don't take on new agents. So it's not going to happen. Jeff, to answer your question. Again, this isn't Trinity. I'm not a recruiter for Trinity. I know Holly, one of the people that works there sees these videos, but this isn't a Trinity bashing fest. I try to keep my affiliation with them separate from this. It's so don't ask questions about them because I'm just flat out not going to answer them. I know they don't take new agents. You need to have a book of business and you need to be experienced. They're just not going to develop. They're not going to spend the time that's required and the money that's required to wait for a new agent to generate revenue. They're just not going to. And I don't blame them because it costs a lot of money. I have load boards. I have, all the other systems that I have that all cost a company money. Retro said, how did I start out? I've talked about that in some of the old videos. I'll go really quick and say, I started a trucking company years ago out of necessity. I had to do it because it was the summer and I either had to go work construction or I had to get a job. So I bought a van and started hauling shit around like that in the Northeast. Got big, sold that thing after 2 years. Then I found out we were having a kid. Years later, I started, a computer company. I owned a convenience store and all that stuff. We found out we were having a kid. We, did what all young people do when you find out you're having a kid. You freak the hell out and you go live by your parents and family and all that. So we moved up to Jersey and lived by her family. I got a job working for a moving company as a supervisor. I got laid off during the winter, so I essentially rented the guy's truck and was just going to try to make my own money with it over the course of the summer. He had an MC number. I found out, I think I was looking at U-Ship, and again, because that's how I started the first trucking company. So I was looking at them to get it going because I didn't even know about load boards at that point. And then I ended up figuring out what DAT was, what Truck Stop was, what Get Loaded was when it was good. And I built a trucking business off of that. I had one truck at that point, and then the company who I rented the truck from ended up adding a bunch of trucks, and we were doing freight through them. And I was essentially just dispatching those trucks as an employee. And then I started my own freight forwarding company because of all the extra freight that we had. And then long story short, I entered the brokering world that way because I was going out and getting direct customers because I realized you can make more money with direct customers. So I went out and got more, and then they were giving me loads to like Miami, places we didn't go. And so I would just, I had to figure out a way to cover those loads because I didn't want to give up the stuff I was doing because I couldn't handle the stuff further away. So this is before MAP 21 and all the broker bond went up and all that stuff. So I bought a $10,000 bond and a freight forwarding authority because we had a warehouse and set up as a freight forwarder and was moving freight domestically. And then I became an agent for UTI and closed down my stuff. And then I was an agent for them. And then I took a sales director position with a big 3PL. And I just kept building up a book. And then when I leave, couldn't take the book with me. So I'd go to the next place and build up a book again. And when I was the sales director for that company, we built up a really huge book very fast. And I left that company, and then I started doing other stuff. And then I started my trucking company because I like driving. I like being on the road more than I like sitting behind an office. I've always been that way. I traveled the United States with a backpack for years. I like traveling. I like seeing shit. And that's why I really like driving. And I ended up starting another trucking company when I just got bored. So I was being a broker, and then I took a couple of years off and just did other stuff. And then, construction a little bit. And then I became a logistics manager for a shipper when we lived in Northern Virginia. And, it was a good gig, but again, it didn't suit me. I wasn't feeling it. And so I started another trucking company and bought a straight truck. And within 9 months, I just scaled it like crazy. And the goal was to offload the trucks, but insurance offloaded me first because I wasn't doing a good job hiring drivers, qualifying them. Like I used to sit in the truck with everybody and make them drive me around the block, but I wasn't challenging them enough during the hiring process. And I may have been running them hard because one of them fell asleep and rolled the truck, and it basically insurance just blackballed me, and I had to close that company. And then I decided after that, I'll never own trucks again. So everything I've done since then has been non-asset based, including on the carrier side, because I'll go in as a consultant and take a 1-truck company and make it into a 5-truck company within 6 months, and then just walk, after getting paid. The company's happy. They have, a fleet now. And I've done that a couple of times too. I've done it actually 6 times. 5 times were successful. 1 was, bad because the owner was still trying to micromanage his shit when he couldn't even run it. And that's why he hired me to do it. But that's how I got in it. And then I decided to go into the broker sphere or dispatching. And I had a big dispatch company because I realized that you could make a ton of money as a dispatch company. And then for all the various reasons, I got out of that and just decided, hey, I was a firefighter for a little bit. And then once I realized I couldn't make any money as a firefighter, I had to come back to logistics. I got used to having money, and public service doesn't pay. And so I switched back to, working as a broker because I've always made more money than anything else I've ever done as a broker. So why wouldn't I continue doing it? If I listen to people like this guy, I'm going to troll the shit out of your page later, bud, just so you know. So you might as well just make it so your page is private, your Facebook page or something, because I'm going to troll the shit out of you later. Anyway, Josh said, this is a long one. Josh said, when I send an email to a customer, I send them a list of other customers that I work for. I had one customer tell me that one of their direct competitors is on my list and said they were not comfortable using me. In your experience, would you be better to leave that list out or should you include it? No, never include it. I don't know why you would ever do that. You can ask if they ask for references or something like that, but no, because you're just, yeah. I've never even heard of anybody doing that. You know, if you said, hey, like I'm working with Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Walmart, stuff like that, then that's one thing. But if you're listing like customers, and especially in a straight demographic, you're not going to want to do that. I mean, I once was looking for warehousing for one of my clients, and I called another warehouse and I said, hey, I would love warehousing. They did this whole proposal until I told them who the customer was, and they said they can't do it because they warehouse a competitor's product. And so they couldn't work. So yeah, you don't, and they did all the work before, but it's just, you shouldn't be broadcasting your customers to anyone. That's my opinion. You know, as long as you're just saying like, I have relationships with these companies, or if you work with companies that may be beneficial to them, you know, that may be advantage, but yes, I answered that one. Rishi said, do you still do prospecting through cold calls because it might be tough for you as your day might be busy? No, I don't. So the only prospect, I can't even tell you when the last time I cold called the customer was. Actually I can. It was like 3 months ago, and it wasn't even a cold call. It was a warm call because I knew they had something to ship. I ended up getting a quote from my lead source. I knew they had something to ship. I knew it was time sensitive. So I called them and I said, hey, I've never talked to you. I'm an agent with these guys. I would love to be able to book this freight. I can do it for this amount of money. What do you say? What say you? Let's do it. And they said, we really like your attitude. You beat around the bush, or you don't beat around the bush. Let's do it. And they did. They gave me the load, and it was great. And I made lots of money, and I was happy. And that load, I made like $700 on a $2,000 load. That'll piss you carriers off. But the carrier was still getting $4 a mile. So who cares? He could be pissed. But it was a time sensitive load. So that's that. But yeah, I don't cold call anymore at all. Very rarely, actually at all. I don't do it. And you know, there's some things in the future where I may have to do it, but it's different. It's a different cold calling shippers is different. Like when I'm dispatching, we called everybody. You know, when I was a dispatcher and had my dispatch service, I'd call those people all the time because, as you guys could tell, and I make these videos, I love to talk. I love to make to talk about myself and talk about the job and talk about the industry and try to provide some sort of resource for people that I feel need it, and which is why I make these videos, you know. And so when I was a dispatcher, I had so many other upsells for them. You know, I could help them correct filings if they were wrong. I could help them do so many different segments of their business that I was like, it's a no-brainer for me to talk to everyone on the phone. And I did. I personally pre-qualified everyone that we set up as a dispatching client. For one, because I wanted all the dispatchers that I had trained, and they were good. I had them trained the way I dispatch and the way I do things, and it took me a long time to train them that way. But they were good, and they were able to book freight really easily because I feel like they listened to me. You know, and then they all kind of separated once I stopped. And it could have been because I was paying stupid high salaries for the guys instead of commission, which was a mistake because then when freight started going down a little bit, you know, made the dip last June, I think, or July, it made a little bit of a dip in freight. We didn't book as much and I lost money on my payroll. So as soon as that happened, I shit canned the two people that were bad. And then I shortly after that, I made the decision to just put everyone as an agent, except one person. And then the commission, but then I realized you still have the same problem. They book a load, they're happy with their little $200 commission, so they bounce for the day. And it doesn't help the driver. It screws the driver bad, you know? So, but yeah, that's a question. My monthly book of business is my book of business. It's well over 6 figures. So, well, no, it is 6 figures. So it's not over 6, that would be 7, but it's, you know, I try for, my goal is to break $100,000 a year for the same reason Josh was talking about in the beginning, because life is expensive. I've gotten used to having a steady paycheck. When I say I don't pay attention to how much I make, that's not true. Actually, I do, because I don't pay attention to it once I make it, if that makes sense. I just blow it, but I don't I don't like during the week. I don't sit there and go, oh, I'm making $20 on this load. As long as I know that I'm making more than what it's costing me to get to carry, I book the load. I have no minimums. I don't have. It's not like I have to pay $50 minimum per load to be an agent. It doesn't work that way here. So I don't care. I'll book a load for a $5 profit as long as it gets my customer the load and it doesn't require me to do a lot of shit. But I don't keep track, and I don't say after. Like basically, my wife knows if I had a good day because I tell her, hey, I made some money today. That's how I tell her if I've, had a good day in the freight biz. But I'll answer these other questions in a second. I got to get water, so I'm going to make you guys watch this again. What's up, guys? It's Steve, your favorite freight broker. Wanted to just make this quick commercial and tell you about something that I'm sure you've never heard me say before. Our gift card giveaway. So on the 10th of every month, we go through our list of patrons. We randomize the list. We randomize it 5 times live on the air. And then we choose the top 3. And then we give you either first place gets a $100 gift card. Second place gets a $75 gift card. Third place gets a $50 gift card. It's going to happen every month on the 10th of every month. Sign up below. It's www.patron.com, Freight Broker Live. See you guys back in the show. All right. Well, with that said, that'll be the last time I show you guys that. I promise. And you're not obligated to sign up. It really benefits me if you sign up. It doesn't really benefit you other than when I start doing the pre-recorded content, which I'm going to do next week, or I'm going to start doing it next week. So I'm going to take a focus topic and make a PowerPoint presentation and put it out there. And just, again, it's going to be opinion based, but it'll be a specific focus, and I think it'll be super cool and smooth. But yeah, let's see what other questions we have. John said, what's your sweet spot with freight? Best time freight. Oh, did I have this thing up the whole time? So you guys didn't even see the link. If you didn't see that link for the patron, here it is. And then I'll go back to the questions. Well, it's also scrolling below too, but I get it, because Josh said the reason I did it was to show them that I had experience with their commodity, and I get that. It just, to me, it's something I wouldn't do. It's, you say you have experience with their commodity. Like when I went after olive oil accounts, because that was my wheelhouse, because the company I was sales director for, that's what they had a huge olive oil account. That's what they started with. So I'm like, okay, we know it. I don't know anything about it. I'm a sales guy, so I'll learn about it. I'll figure out different types or where it comes from in Italy and all that crap, because that's what our company was dealing with on the other side. But I was leaving that to the operations side, because there I wasn't acting as a broker. I was acting just purely as a sales director. So my job was to bring in one big account and then use essentially the company profits from that account and build out a sales network. And that's what I did. And it's good. And then you got this dude who's spamming my group with whatever he's saying. So I'm not going to share that. John said, what's your sweet spot? What's your sweet spot freight? Why? Best time of year for your business? Why? Summer is the best time because it's a busy season for my big customer. So, but I mean, we're already at the end of it. It's still fairly busy, so it's good. Sweet spot freight, like shit that any oversized stuff, like heavy equipment, any of those, like one-off wide load, like those, as long as I get the quote and I quote it accurately, because I've also quoted it wrong and then had to not eat it, but I had to not make as much as I thought. But like my favorite load ever that I ever did was a crane move. It was a 27 truck, like those big, I don't know what they're called, the big cranes that go up skyscrapers. That's what this was. It was 27 truckloads, step decks, oversized, regular flat, a couple of flatbeds, some legal, some oversized and over length and all that. That was a good time. I moved all 27 within a week, and I made a boatload of money. So that was an over 5-figure commission for me in a week's worth of work. And they picked up and delivered. And the best part about it is that customer prepaid the entire thing, because his customer he did it all via bank wire. So there's no waiting for my commissions, no waiting for the customer to pay, with the company that I was with. It was awesome. And I've actually reached out to him recently and been like, oh, listen, I need another one of those. I got to buy a house here, bud. So you got to give me one of these cranes. He's like, as soon as I sell one. But all right, there we go. Let's see. I already answered that question. You said good. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Oh, outsourcing a job. You know, and that's funny, talking about outsourcing. It came to my attention that you can outsource like a freight broker jobs relatively cheap. I mean, I'm not linking this guy. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, and half of it's in a different language. But that's if I knew about the outsourcing thing last year, you know who you are if you're watching this. If I knew about that, I would be where you are, and the conversation would be different because it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And now I realize when I'm calling people or when I have people calling me about different loads and stuff, I'm like, are they working overseas? You know, because I didn't realize how cheap it is to outsource. And now I realize why so many companies are doing it. It's very cheap to outsource sales, very cheap. And I tell you, if I ever get to a point where I need to build a sales team again, I will do the Colombia thing or the Bolivia, or not Bolivia, the Poland or Ukraine, and just, fly out there, hire a bunch of people that speak English really well, and just teach them my way of beating up the phones, because the cost to have them do it is dramatically cheaper than it is, from other people. But all right, Josh, we'll see you later. Rishi Shokula said, buddy, the needed something like this that you are doing, as man, it was tough and I had no idea where to start, and I ended up buying a course which didn't do any good. Oh, don't get me started on those buying courses things. That's the thing. Like, all you guys that are thinking about buying a course or already did, this is what you should do. If you've learned more from watching me, you guys should go, oh, wait, I'm not done yet. If you've learned more from watching my videos and you want to say, hey, Steve, you're bleeping awesome, sign up for a chance to win a gift card. See what I did there? Plugging it. I had 3 people sign up today. If I have 3 people that sign up throughout there, I may get over the number of what it cost me for the damn gift cards. Not there yet, but hopefully I get there soon. So, but I'll still follow through and give out gift cards. But yeah, and that's why I made this video. I've had quite a few offers since then to join other groups or do roundtables, or and that's one of the things I want to do. Is I want to do like a roundtable where you get 10 or 15 people, like-minded young freight people, from carriers. A young guy my age, 35, that's started a company and has a bunch of trucks. A couple of young brokers out there, because that's what I'm focused on. A couple of young dispatchers and stuff out there, and then we all sit around and we just shoot the shit live, and it's all recorded, and people can just watch us and ask questions live and build it like a terminal and all that stuff. But John, no worry. He said he left you a message, but he didn't hear back, or I don't know. You may have talked to him since then, but he said he tried to call you, didn't answer. But yeah, that's my spiel, guys. So anyone who has been watching this, or watching this on replay, because my videos have been getting a lot of replay lately, which is awesome. Anyone who's watching this, consider liking my page, subscribing to me on YouTube, because as I said, so what I'm going to be doing, and this is the new thing, and this is why it's important for you to sign up for the Patron if you haven't already. Starting next week, hopefully, I'm going to release what I'm going to call like Freight in 5, and I'm going to do Freight in 8. They're like subject-oriented videos. So like I'll do one about cold calling. I'll do one about detention. I'll do one about booking loads. And it will be a produced video, so it won't be a live video. It won't be me stuttering through trying to figure out what to say. It'll be a very direct approach at a targeted subject. And what I'm going to do is, for the people that are signed up on Patreon, I'm going to release it to them first as like a private YouTube, and they'll be able to watch that there. And then within 5 days, it'll become public. And the reason is because I just want to drum up more so I can make more money and be able to produce more content. This I don't even know how I did it, but I'm up to like $400 a month in software and shit like that, just for the Freight Broker Live brand and domain and all that crap. And I don't even know how, But to me, it's worth it because the amount of people and the reception that I've gotten and people that have called and people that have commented, if you haven't already written a review on my Facebook page and you do like me, go ahead and write a review. If you don't, because then I'm just going to delete it or have Facebook delete it if it's bad or you're just being an ass. But all right. Last question, unless another one pops up. What is my weekly target you want to hit in margin? Well, I've literally mentioned this like 6 times during the thing. I don't set a goal. My goal is $5,000 a week. If I hit a $5,000 a week, then I know I did my job. If I don't hit $5,000 a week, then I'm not content. You know what I mean? That's I don't have a low target. I don't say, well, I need to make $1,200 because I found that for me, it doesn't work. If I set a low bar like that, then I'm not going to do it. If I set a bar that's usually not attainable, that's when I make a lot of profit. That's when I book a shit ton of freight. Because in my head, I'm like, well, it's not good enough. Oh, I made $50 on that load. Got to go again. Like today, I did something that I don't normally do. Every single time a carrier called me about a load, I took my entire list of loads and refreshed it every single time on DAT. Every single time. And you know what it did? It drummed up a huge amount of phone calls because I know that there's other people working on it. So my load went first. Plus, I posted a rate. So it's a little bit more honest because a lot of people don't post the rates on the load boards. And, in none of my competition, the people that I directly compete against to move the freight that I move, none of them post the rates. So by me posting the rates, it's me being honest and me saying it. Plus, contrary to what Douche Canoe up there said before, wow, this hat is tight. See that shit? This hat's tight. What he said before, Trinity's a good company and it's got a really good reputation. So when we post loads and people will call me over, TQL, well, of course they would, but over AOK, all the other brokers that work the same type of freight, they'll call, which I really appreciate and it works. But again, because they don't want here, and this is, that's the wrong question. Hold on one second. I'll answer you in a second. I want to attempt to say your name too, so that'll be funny. But they don't post a rate because, like, for example, I post $1,100. That is the direct rate. So, like, if it's an $1,100 lane, my customer sends out a list. He's got his target rate. The different rates are highlighted, or I know based on the lane that he's got a little bit more flex. Again, I worked on this account for 5 years, so I know if he has more money in it, he's trying to cheapskate me. And I don't even know if he knows that because he's new. I'm not to this account. So, but I know what I can get away with, what I can't. I post the rate out that he sends to me because I know at minimum I can upsell $50 a load, and he knows it. And because I'm upselling $50 a load, loads posted for $1,100, and I'm telling him I can move it for $1,150. Clearly, it's a $50 load, and he could. I mean, shit, the guy posts loads sometimes himself. Because he's a shipper and they have DAT and truck stop and all that crap. He's not always, I book more loads than they do. That's the goal, is just to book as many loads as I can and make as much money as I can. But I don't set a minimum, that's the key, is just book as much freight as I can all day long. But they don't post the rate because they'll take the rate the customer wants to pay. And then when you call them, they'll say, I've only got $900 in it when it's $1,100 load, because they're greedy and they want to make more money. Me, I don't care. I'm a volume guy. So they'll sit there and take 500 phone calls because everybody's calling about this load and they want to know what the rate is. And then I'll take one. They already know the details on the load because it's all there. They know how much it's paying too, or the ballpark. And they'll call me and say, can you pay more? But normally in my spiel, and I've walked through it several times with you guys, when I actually say like the details on a load, I don't even give a chance to talk. They call, they say, I'm looking at this load. And I say, all right, I get the information. I run through my whole 15-second, dialogue about what the load is, where it's going, where it's picking up from. It's rehearsed. The only thing I change is the rate at the end. Everything else is the same. And that's a privilege of working on a customer who ships 150 loads a day, and I'm not covering them all or whatever, I don't cover. I probably only covered 15% of his freight here. Hold on. Dispatch. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, what's up? They're waiting for what? With what product? You're picking up a crate. It's already in the warehouse. Did you call them in advance? Did you call them 2 hours in advance like it says on the Raycon? You did? Did they tell you? Did they tell you? Right. Okay. Next question. Did they tell you when they were going to be there? When you just called them, and did they give you a time frame? Because this already happened once today, and then I called the customer, and the customer's like, "I told them I'd be there in 10 minutes." So did they give you a time frame when they're going to be there, or no? No. Okay. So give me 5 minutes. Yeah, give me 5 minutes. I'll call the shipper and I'll find out what is going on, and then I will call you right back. Okay. Don't tell you that your truck doesn't leave. So all right. All right. Cool. All right. Bye. All right, guys. Well, now I have an issue to deal with. So if you haven't signed up for the Patron, sign up for Patron. Most of you guys already did, and I really appreciate it. But for the new guys that are just watching this video, I go live every single day. I make these videos. I make content. I write articles. I do all sorts of stuff. I run a free freight broker course a couple of times a year. Sign up for Patron. Like my Facebook page. Do all that good stuff. I have to go deal with freight broker issues. So see you later. Bye. I'm not even going to play that video. Bye.